Okay, this first math is called the variable KVP. What you're going to do is when you're taking an x-ray, you're going to change the KVP of the patient based on how thick the body part is. Okay, so you're going to use a caliper to measure. Okay, for example, if we're going to do the chest, you need to measure how thick the chest is from front to back. Okay, you're going to measure in centimeters. So let's say, for example, the chest is, let's say, 32 centimeters. Okay, based on that, you're going to calculate how much KVP you use, because the KVP represents the power that the radiation has to push through the body. So the thicker the body part, the more KVP that you need. Does that make sense? Okay. So centimeters times 2 plus 30 is going to equal the KVP. All right. So all we do is we take 32 times 2 plus 30. So that's 64 plus 30. Would be 94 KVP. Okay. Let's say that, let's do another one. Let's say that it's 22 centimeters. So just change this to 22 centimeters. And then figure out what it would be. Okay, so you do 22 times 2. That's 44 plus 30. That's 74 KVP. So you'll go to the chart and it'll tell you what milliamps and what time to use, but the KVP will be different depending on how thick it is. Okay, you can do this for the chest, for the ankle, for the knee, just whatever body part that you're measuring. Okay, you're taking an x-ray of. Now, another thing to remember is sometimes it may be in inches and you have to convert it to centimeters first. Okay, what if it says it's 11 inches? So we still need to use this formula, the centimeters times 2 plus 30. But you first got to change the inches to centimeters. How many centimeters are in 1 inch? Right. 1 inch equals 2.5 centimeters. So the first thing you're going to do is change the inches to centimeters. So you take 11 inches times 2.5. And that equals how many centimeters? 27.5? Okay, 27.5 centimeters. Now you have the centimeters. Then you put it into this formula. 27.5 times 2 plus 30. That's what, 55? Okay. So 55 plus 30 is 85. Make sure you always put KVP as the unit for the answer there. Pretty easy. All right, let's do one more. Let's say that it's 17 inches. So 17 inches times 2.5 is how many centimeters? 42.5. So then you take the 42.5 centimeters times 2 plus 30. That's 85. 85 plus 30 is 125.
15.
115. Okay, so this is called the variable KVP technique. Okay, now what you're going to do is, sometimes the x-ray, you may need to adjust the numbers a little bit because it turns out too dark or too light. So remember, your MAS is the milliamps times the time. Okay, this is the amount of radiation that you're using. Okay. You don't really want to change this unless you have to, because when you start increasing this, you're exposing the patient to more radiation. So what you can do is you can change the KVP a certain amount, and it'll give you the same results as if you had increased this. In other words, let's say the picture needs to be a little bit darker. It's too light. Well, we don't want to change this from 10 to 20 because that doubles how much radiation they're getting. So what you can do instead is you can change the KVP by 15%. Okay, in the book it tells you that if you increase KVP 15%, it would be the same as if you double the MAS. In other words, increasing this KVP by 15% is the same as giving them twice the amount of radiation. Okay, you're not really going to give them that much radiation, but it will affect the X-ray the same way. In other words, you'll get the X-ray to be darker if you need it to be. So what you have to figure out is, what would your new KVP be? We're going to increase this 40 KVP by 15%. Okay, so we have to figure out what is 15% more of that. So you take 40 times 15%. So on the calculator you can just do 40 times 0.15. And what is that, 6? So that equals 6. So now we're going to add this to the 40 because we're increasing it. So it's going to end up being 46 KVP. In other words, we started with 40, we figured out what was 15% of 40, and we added it to that. So we just turned the KVP up a little bit. And a lot of times you'll have to do that when you're taking an X-ray. You know, a certain body part on a certain patient may come out a little bit too light, usually because it's a thicker area. So you usually can just increase the KVP a little bit and you'll get the picture to look like it needs to. Okay, and we didn't have to change the amount of radiation that we exposed them to. So let's do another one. Let's say that your